good. Yes, wonderful. Nice to meet you. And I'm sorry, I'm Melissa.
I'm
Okay.
SJ.
SJ. Okay, hi.
So nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
And thank you so much for reading.
Thank you. Let me turn on some more light here.
We are also ready to go live if
Okay.
we're good for us to start admitting folks.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm going to guess you are Aslan.
I am Aslan, yes.
So Aslan. Okay, nice to meet you. I was sort of thinking Aslan like the C.S. Lewis lion. Was that the idea?
That is my namesake, yes.
Cool. Excellent. I was very impressed.
All right.
Yeah, I certainly did. I spread things far and wide. I was all over my social media. So it might just be, it looks like we've got one person.
Hello.
We will probably have folks trickling in. It usually takes a couple minutes to come in. And then also we'll be streaming this to our Facebook page.
That sounds great.
And any folks that are in the Facebook, I'll also try to take the questions that they have for the Q&A and bring them over here.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, man, I haven't done this in such a long time. Yeah. Just adjusting things. Okay. Oh, do I have to admit anybody? It's okay. Never mind. I'm just going to sit here. I don't have to do any technical stuff right now that I have.
Hopefully not.
Oh my God. Thank the Lord. Because I am old and technology, when you're old, just starts slipping away from you. And it's really nasty.
Yeah, hopefully Aslan has us all in capable hands and will be pushing all of the buttons.
I trust them. I trust them. So yes. Oh my goodness. So how are you? I managed to catch Gerda. Was that her name last week?
Oh, I'm so glad you tuned in.
Yeah, I did. It was tricky because I don't know. I tried to tune in live and it didn't work, but then I moved someplace else, and I think I somehow switched places in the Facebook page and I got the whole thing. So that was wonderful.
I'm glad that worked out because we had some technical really not even technical snafus, time zone snafus. That was the issue, was like we did not calculate correctly the time difference. And I think it was also because it was the night before daylight savings,
Oh, yes.
that night, that Saturday, and then Sunday was our reading.
And
we got it off, and so it was really sad because I was like, okay, I'm tuning in. And she was like, I just went, like, we are 1 hour wrong. So the recording is still there though, so I'm glad you saw it.
I mean, I think I was probably in the cohort of 1 hour off, because I remember, the live thing was just like, the live event has not started yet. And then it just sat there and I was like, okay. And then I went and the whole thing was just there. So, I was very impressed, of course. I mean, I loved a lot of her poems, and her work was so interesting, but wow, I mean, so hard to like manage time zones. I mean, now that we're all like this, we're really a global culture now that we have things like Zoom and live streaming and stuff. And man, I totally can't wrap my brain around it, So
And normally we do a better job with the time zones. That's the first time I think that's ever happened. It was just the perfect storm of
right. Yeah. I mean,
but,
that's what happens.
But I'm very relieved that we're all here tonight and we have people tuning in. I'm like, okay, it is the right time. It is the right place. Like, check,
yes.
check.
I know. And I just, I'm so out of practice with this. I was like sitting down. I'm like, oh, I'm early, I'm getting all my equipment set up. I got my water bottle. I'm all done. And then I'm like, you don't have any poems. You have no pieces of paper in front of you. And I was like, oh, and I'm like transitioning between laptops. And so all of the poetry is on the old laptop that it's finicky and doesn't work very well. And then I was trying to print from it. And then I didn't realize that, or didn't even think that, I mean, we have a different printer. So I was like, oh, it looks like it's going to print. And I press print and I could hear it starting. I was like, yay. And I closed the printer, or I closed the laptop. Mm-hmm. And boom, everything was, went higgledy-piggledy. So it's kind of crazy.
The way?
It is the way. It is really the way. That's I love that saying, from The Mandalorian. It's such a good saying, this is the way. And I have spoken. They have like, I really have to, bring that back to my conversation because it's so good, that language. It's sort of like lets you let go of everything. So this is the way. Okay. Right. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be flip. I'm just extraordinarily nervous. So.
Oh, you're doing great. I mean, we have a couple minutes. We could probably start too if you want.
Sure.
But I'm just tickled to be here in the Zoom and that we've gotten this far. So I feel like the hardest things have happened. We've got the transition from Facebook Live into Zoom. We've got our folks all here. I feel like we've won. And thank you everyone for being here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you. Thank you all for being here. And thank you. Thank you, SJ. Thank you, Aslan. And thank you, Shannon. I mean, she might be gone now, but my materials have her name on it too. So I wanted to throw her in.
Yeah, she was a big part of shaping our reading series and she was part of the selection process for the 2022 season. So yeah,
I figured as much.
Shout out to Shannon, wherever she is.
Yeah. Shout out to Shannon. I am so appreciative of you all. And I think this is such a wonderful idea. It's really, really helpful for those of us that have problems, going out and getting to readings in the first place, not only because, I just have problems walking around anymore, but, it's also like, with the whole COVID situation, it's very, very, it's so wonderful to be able to have a venue to do this online. And so thank you for having this available.
Thank you. We're just so glad you're here. But yeah, Aslan, I'll let you take it away.
Okay. Yes.
First of all, welcome everyone on our Facebook live stream and here on Zoom, the first official Poets in Pajamas Zoom, to PIP 148, featuring the wonderful work of Melissa Frederick. Melissa Frederick has been working at writing for the past 35 years through motherhood, chronic illnesses, and societal insanity. She earned master's degrees from Iowa State University and Temple University. Her poetry and prose have appeared in numerous publications, including Crab Orchard Review, Diagram, Mid-American Review, Moon City Review, Muse A Journal, Oxford Poetry, and Heron Tree. Her poetry chapbook, She, was published by Finishing Line Press in 2008. Her work has also been nominated for the lovely Pushcart Prize and the Best of the Net anthology. Follow her on Miss Fickle Reader.
Ms. Fickle Reader.
Miss Fickle Reader, excuse me. I also have that in the chat, and for accessibility reasons, we do have copies of the poems if anyone needs them. We will have the poetry reading starting right now for about 15 minutes or so, and then we'll move towards the Q&A section right after. So Melissa, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Aslan, and thank you for everybody who is here. I can't actually see you, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And let's see, I'm thinking about what I'd like to do first. You know, I have to say I'm a little out of practice doing this. I have, for the past couple of years, actually more like handful of years, I've been doing more art than poetry. I have to confess, I've been doing visual art, mixed media. So, and I mean, I feel like I have lived many lives because I started out when I was 6. You know, I think I won a kids poetry award at age 6. And so I started out writing. I went to school. I taught writing for a little while, writing and literature at the wonderful Rosemont College. And then I tried to do a PhD in literature, and that didn't work out so well. And I tried working on it for 12 years, and I still didn't finish it, because PhD programs are nasty. But, I also, I got married, I had a son, and then suddenly I also in there, I worked as a medical editor, and now I'm doing visual art, which I never thought I could do. I never did any art when I was growing up because I thought I couldn't, because I couldn't really draw. So let that be a lesson. And I think poets are probably, perhaps a little better, I don't know, suited in general if for the visual arts, because I don't know. I mean, I read an article that said there were a lot of poets that did visual art and other kinds of art. And actually, I really don't know why, but possibly because, poets also have a visual sense of things on the page and structure and all that jazz. So, but I will launch into the poetry now. This one was published in Helen, a literary magazine, and it's called Legend. Legend. A legend, as at its inception, exists on no terms except how its words read the land. A heron stands stock still by a pond's edge, where cat-sized snapping turtles rear their ancient periscope snouts and wait. At night, in the spotlight of a rundown casino, gulls circle and dive like moths around a candle, like a universe reeling with stars. A woman with a willow staff bounds across the peaks of striated mountains, cracked and bleeding as she outruns a giant. She burrows into the ground to escape severed limbs, scattered piecemeal as pebbles. She hides under a basket while her people turn to corpses from one flash of demonic eyes. She walks beside her newest mate as he names the desert animals, the burrows and buttes. Her task is vital. She is the one who senses danger. It's written in cracks and chlorophyll. She reads with the soles of her feet. And the one that I would like to read next, if I can find it, is a really old one, but I enjoy reading it anyway because it just, I don't know, it's one of my favorites of the old ones, and it was published in my book, She, by Finishing Line Press. It was first published in the Adirondack Review 100 years ago, but it might still be up online. It's called Pearl. A pearl is a drop of sadness lying between my breasts. You told me it looked decorative, round bead against round chest. What kind of sound would a pearl make if it had a mouth stretched wide as its belly, a birthing groan born in the brain of an oyster, a bitter complaint, a cultured seed? Your skin is smooth against mine. I am not decorative, but full of holes you can push your finger through. I am a cracked cup, modestly embellishing her blemishes with garlands, gems. This one I bought with $8 my parents gave me to spend at the diving show, my tiny fingers dampening 4 dirty bills in the ball of my fist. The diver's white cap fit tight against her skull as she carried the bucket of rough treasure no bigger than my hand. She approached like a fish reincarnated, swimming and re-swimming familiar currents, then tangling inevitably in the hidden net. Squinting in sunlight, she does not belong, no more than this creamy stone belongs between 2 sacks of skin and fat. It is boring a shaft in my chest, trying to return, remembering only a spongy dark home. This is an oyster scar, not mine. As you sound my depths, I may cry out, but into my own universe, a cavity that lets in no light, nor lets none escape. It may be easy to find completeness in 1 or 2 strokes. You fill me and return to yourself unchanged. I have taught myself to stay hidden while on display, a living jewel, a sultan's prize. Beneath the pirate's gaze I lie, everything round and pure, everything good and wholesome, everything seen with the singing day on the ocean, a poultice that smooths the world's wounds, keeps secrets, and tells nothing. And we are flying by. I don't know. I actually started writing poetry about being chronically ill. Might have actually started about a handful of years ago too. I don't know. My brain is very scattered these days, and I think just, it's a matter of, going in different directions, whatever the creative side of the brain wants. But I remember looking at and this is based on, if I can find it, oh geez. This is based on a something that actually happened. I found a recording of Nirvana. Before they were famous, there was a little video of them that somebody posted, and it was just them under this bright, like all these stage lights. And I thought it was so strange to be holding this piece of equipment that didn't exist when they started. And that is why I wrote this piece called Watching Nirvana While Sick in Bed. And in fact, I was sick in bed. This also was first published in Music Journal. So while watching Nirvana while sick in bed. There you were then, in a haze of electric magenta, that gritty wail slamming suburban apathy and your own despair. Back then, I was a teen, and I hated us all. Long ago, long ago. Here I am now, horizontal, half asleep, moored in an all-pervasive fog I never predicted in my upright, driven days. Back then, I thought work meant salvation, and I would never drink, do drugs, or get an STD. Here you are too, long gone, resurrected by the light from my handheld screen, music, like a sine wave pulse from a life I never had until now. Rage is the ostinato of the chronically ill. I'll lose the next 2 days to pointless exhaustion, but never mind, never mind. Let's see. I'm gonna try to squeeze in, oh heck. You know what, I think, are we good on time? Anybody? Never mind. I think I am going to jump to some pieces that I sort of teased in a couple of my promos for this. I started, and I thought I would be, really into this project by now, and of course I'm not, because things. And but I got an idea to write about a sort of a science fiction-y kind of work about a chronic sanatorium on the moon. So this is from the the forthcoming manuscript called The Chronic Sanatorium on the Moon. And the first piece is called Lake of Time. Years ago, when my husband and I walked at night because it was winter and we had no obligations, I would dream of unlit sidewalks and corridors, institutions where blurry figures would lean by a set of double doors, leaking light in perpendicular lines. I'm not sure I ever made it to the doors, but I do remember the waiting shadows, arms crossed and heads cocked. Lake of Hope. Whenever I hear the Latin name, I want to weave it into Mozart. Lacus Spei, Quitolis peccata mundi. Our location is obscure enough. A dark smudge 80 kilometers wide, not prominent enough for maps. The landing pods find their way playing hopscotch with craters, Mercurius, Carrington, Schumacher. That must have been the impetus behind building on this site. If hope can't find us, surely sin and calamity won't bother. Sea of Serenity. In the convalescent wards, bodies and environments are well regulated. Temperature, lighting, sound, moisture, movement. Wall sensors maintain an ideal climate, noise dampening calm luminescence that rotates through red and sapphire to green, gold, and blue. Beds floating in their numbered docks administer meds, fluids, and nourishment, pump away waste, monitor physical signs through the skin. Blankets wrap us against our mattresses like cellophane. Here, there is nothing to do but sleep or stare at the walls and their ever-shifting palette. Rest is essential, the sanatorium knows. We lie in its automated arms, soothed by the moon's low gravity. We hover like airborne jellyfish, no pressure on achy joints, no throbbing in the back of the brain. We are art installations, medical footnotes, objects carefully tended. We live fully in our bodies, an ideal state of mindfulness, but we feel only absence. We sleep in absence. We wake in absence. We are infinite tabulations of absence. Okay. Sea of Fecundity. I have problems nailing down specifics about where my mind goes while I'm waiting for sleep. If you're in convalescence, it's called between time, interim time, like dead air on a TV broadcast, a live TV broadcast, although we chronics don't use descriptions using the D word. Some SAN patients open their eyes every day and start leading fully rendered alternative lives. the kind of fantasy so absorbing psychologists consider it pathology. Not so here. We treat our fabulists with reverence cut by a sliver of envy. These people smile as they walk. They don't complain at dinner. They might stare at ceilings or nod when they see you wandering a hallway in tears. What they won't tell you is the secret of their contentment. Or maybe they can't. The question would be meaningless to permanent residents of a different dimension, where this reality is only a relay station, a transmitter for the mind's true home, the body and antenna. Lake of Solitude. When and if we move to transition, awake more than 10 hours a day, eating solid food, able to dress and sit unassisted, we're allowed on the hover ferry, taking special trips away from the complex of lighted buildings for an unobstructed view of full Earth. Nestled in lunar night, we recline on pillows and under Afghans, listen to the same piped-in lecture every time, the same rolling wave crashes. For everyone in the hover ferry, this is our birthing place, but our relationship to the crash in the sky has turned strange from being off planet. That familiar garish splash of color in the darkness takes on alien features, whirls of ever-shifting tangled clouds, dirty streaks and puzzle pieces, blues that don't match and get covered by varying species of gray. This is paradise for some. This, the inn that had no room. Now shackled to our damaged bodies, we aliens look up at home, the motherland, mother country, mother soil. What we see is an object writhing in the sky. Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we can do one more.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to end on an upbeat poem because, a lot of the chronic illness poems are, they're hard because chronic illness is hard. And, but, I also did a lot a while back with found poetry. And Heron Tree often publishes found poetry collections or not collections, but they'll have one issue on found poetry, and they'll often target a one particular piece in the public domain. And this, I believe, came from a book called Climates of the Continents. I'll look it up if anybody's interested, or you can go to Heron Tree. It's still there. This poem is called Summer Isotherms. Let us travel with the pure air to where the orange and the lemon tree grow, where we can map out our movements by silver crests and fine red dust and the shimmer of stars on fire. The wind divide will direct us, a sharp curve in its backbone, covering us with calm currents against downpours and cyclones, fierce continental regimes that advance with mad bursts and curse their lack of reach. The sea lying languid will be our mirror, and we will float high above the surface till we lose the mark of violence, and all life will look at us and say, that is rare, that is resistance. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for such a wonderful reading, Melissa.
Well, thank you.
We will now enter the Q&A portion. If you have any
Okay.
questions, you can raise your hand using the little reaction feature, and we'll call on you to ask your question. Otherwise, you can put it in the chat feature, and we can read it aloud. We'll give about a minute or two for questions to come in. But in the meantime, I'll get us started with a question. When you read the poem about feeling sick in bed, watching Nirvana, and then immediately afterwards we had the poems about a sanitarium on the moon. Two very different, almost like strategies for starting a poem. One very experiential and almost confessional about where you are physically in that moment. It is literally what's happening. And the other one, a abstract kind of mindscape that also relates to your life and your experience, the things you'd like to discuss, but in such a far distant place. And I wondered about your approach to writing these days. If you find yourself more oriented towards pursuing an idea like, what would it be like to be in these lakes in a moon sanitarium, or if you find yourself feeling inspired. I mean, even if you talked earlier about physical art, if you find yourself being inspired through circumstance and finding yourself in a position that feels notable.
That's a really interesting question. I think, I think that for me, inspiration just comes from everywhere. I feel like I'm constantly reading. They say the internet is a visual medium, but it's also you do a lot of reading when you're online a lot. There are a lot of interesting bots on Twitter, which might be dying, but I will say there's one particular called Magic Realism Bot, which puts together all of these unusual, pieces. Like, they'll take a kind of person, a kind of the name of a place and what they're doing, and just sort of jam them all together. And that inspires me. I've been studying Japanese with various apps, and some of the sometimes the descriptions of how the kanji fit together, like, it's usually or often words are two kanji long, and one kanji will mean, heart, and the other will mean, well, for instance, I'll take karate, which, one of the kanji means empty and the other one means hand. So it's empty-handed fighting. But they also use the empty one for sky, which is like sky hand, which is also interesting. So I feel like, I just feel like, everything comes in from everywhere. And I think, it's a function of using your eyes and reading a whole bunch, and just being on. Sometimes I can't, sometimes nothing comes, and the words are just goo in my brain. And that, I think, is from, illness issues again. But when you have some energy, I think things just start popping off. So.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. That's a great
Thank
answer.
you.
And that bot, the SJ linked it in our chat, the Magic Realism bot, is something I definitely will have.
Yeah. Oh, check it out. It's so great. And it's, I mean, sometimes they get some, they say some things that don't even sound surreal. They sort of sound, oh my, that sounds terribly like the life we're living right now. But it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So, oh my, there seems to be a lot of questions popping up. Do we, throw me another question if we have time.
We do. We have,
Okay.
we'll answer these two questions right here.
Okay.
From Jill Blom. Has your poetry ever influenced your physical art or vice versa? I would be fascinated to see what you would do visually with the sanitarium on the moon.
Oh, gee, I hadn't even thought of that. So far, I'm not sure it has, but I don't know. I might explore that, because, a lot of times my art is just like sometimes it's just me, saying, ooh, I like this paint. I like this color. I'm going to, draw a square here and another here. Or, hey, I think I can, stick this leaf onto a canvas and then, put some tatting around it. I taught myself how to tat. I was inspired by, this might have helped with the chronic sanatorium on the moon. I read a book. It's called The Plague and I, and now I'm not remembering the woman's name, but she was very famous. I think in the 30s and 40s, maybe, for writing The Egg and I. And this was a book about her going to a TB sanatorium for a while. So, geez, I don't even know where that was coming from, or how I segued into that. But, God, remind me what I was talking about. I was talking about art and poetry. I mean, sometimes so many things are just sort of come, when you're in the moment, you've got the flow or whatever. And so I haven't really had the chance to go in and say, okay, I'm gonna really work on what this looks like, what this image from a piece of mine looks like. So yeah, I might explore that later, but yes, thank you. Thank you, Jill.
And our final question from Catherine Okrent, besides maybe a lack of energy, have your illnesses changed your writing process?
Yeah, definitely. I used to be able to go for a long walk before I wrote something, that sort of, or I would listen to music and sort of walk around. That has lessened quite a bit, because, and also, I mean, I also have this tremor, as you can see. Some of my shaking is nervous energy, but some of it is a tremor. And I don't know. I mean, that takes up a lot of your energy, just, like your energy of existence, or, being in a body. So yeah, I think I guess I've learned more to, I don't know, I'm more static, or I have to, if I want to do some work, I have to sort of work my way up to it instead of just jumping right in. I mean, I remember when I was in college, I could just sit for hours working on something and not think of it at all. And now I'm just like, oh my God, I can't sit up. I can't sit at my computer. I'm going to look at this video game for the next hour. So yeah, there's a lot motivation and energy. It's a lot more, I guess, cultivation of cultivation of yourself to get yourself to the point where you can and want to work. But yeah, sometimes it's a struggle.
Well, thank you so much for lending us your voice and your words. Thank you so much to our audience here and those who tuned in on the Facebook live stream, for giving your questions and your attention. We have information on where you can find Melissa Frederick in the chat options, and also on our blog, Poets in Pajamas on WordPress. And you can tune in over the next couple weeks to our Facebook page for Poets in Pajamas 149, which will feature Aaron Hoover. We'll have some more stuff coming out about that. Is there anything you would like to say before we check out, Melissa?
Just thank you. Thank you so much to everybody who joined me. Again, thank you to Poets in Pajamas. and Sundra's publications. And I encourage people to, I think you all are looking for the next cohort for the next season right now. So this is a wonderful experience. So if you're ready, check it out, jump in, submit.
Thank you so much. And everyone, please have a safe night. We will also have the video for this on our Facebook page if you'd like to go back and listen to anything again. Otherwise,
and I can answer questions on the Facebook page too. So I can watch, but yes, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
it. And from SJ, please submit to Poets and Pajamas for 2023. Absolutely. But thank you so much for your time tonight, folks. And we will see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.